Greetings again, this is Dr. Jimmy at your service, and I've decided tonight, May 30th, although it's almost midnight so it's maybe the 31st already, but anyway it's Memorial Day weekend, just the last few minutes of Memorial Day weekend, and I've decided to go ahead and do my second video in my series on the cocktails for Halloween Horror Nights 26. Of course I can only do two at the moment because of course only two houses have officially been revealed. Wouldn't be right to do anything for a house that hasn't been revealed yet, because of course I don't know for a fact that that house is happening until it's actually been revealed, in spite of what people might be buzzing about with their rumours and their speculations and their inside information. Rolls eyes, like of course pot kettle black, right, after all these years. But anyway, wearing a Doctor Who t-shirt, just for those who are interested. Third Doctor, Dr. John Smith's Venusian Aikido training. For those of you who like the Third Doctor, that was my first Doctor ever when I was a wee boy, way back in the early 1970s. Oh dear, I just dated myself. Well, the Exorcist cocktail. Well, what could I use for the Exorcist? Now I think about it, there's a lovely young girl, Regan McNeil, is possessed by Pazuzu. Oh, speaking of which, let's get her. Should have done that earlier. Sorry about that. But here she is. There she is, all lovely. Yes. Is there someone inside you, Regan? Sometimes. Anyway, notice the puke on her face there. Just like the scare actor in the All Night Die-In. Double feature last year, not to mention the Horrorwood Die-In years ago. And don't forget the first 3 years of Horror Nights and Orlando. Fright Nights, Halloween Horror Nights 2, Halloween Horror Nights 3, all 3 of those years. There was a couple of priests pushing a bed through Hollywood Boulevard with Regan convulsing on it, leaping up and down, cursing, not quite as nasty as in the movie. So she's been around a while in Horror Nights. But anyway, how can I make a good cocktail? An innocent little girl, of course, to start with. And I can't help but think, when I think cocktail plus innocent little girl, of a classic non-alcoholic beverage that was allegedly created at Chasen's Bar in Beverly Hills for the child actress Shirley Temple, and was named for her, although that's a Hollywood legend. Miss Temple herself, of course by then Mrs. Black, had stated that she never really drank the thing herself, but that it was made up in the 30s at the Brown Derby. And of course I was, for many years, I'm from Hawaii originally, and in Hawaii they say that it was invented in the 1930s at the Royal Hawaiian Hotel in Waikiki on the occasion of the little mop top, little curly top showing up in Hawaii in the 30s on a tour of some sort. Now which story is true, God only knows. Many cocktails, famous cocktails, have all sorts of origin stories, and many bars claim, you know, I've been to a couple of different bars where I had Bloody Marys, both claiming to have invented it, one in Paris and one in New York. You never know. All sorts of people claim to have invented something. It's hard to pin it down. But in any case, we'll start with a Shirley Temple, but we'll go beyond that, because it has to be possessed by spirits, and thus no longer a virgin cocktail at that point. Ew. Well, she wasn't quite virgin anymore after all that, you know, you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. So we start out. The classic Shirley Temple begins with ginger ale. Now I'm going to use a tall glass this time, with ice, and ginger ale. I've chosen a pretty good quality ginger ale. This is Fever Tree Premium Ginger Ale. Okay, there we go. So you can use Canada Dry, you can use whatever you want. I've decided to use this one. and go ahead and put it. It's fizzy, it's going to fizz. Let the fizz die down a bit. Actually, what I should have done is what I'm sure every good mixologist knows. So when you're pouring a fizzy beverage, a fizzy drink, you turn it like this, see, and you can pour it so that it doesn't fizz up too much too fast, although in this case it might be doing it anyway. It's refrigerated. I had it refrigerated, it shouldn't fizz so much. It's not like pouring a warm beverage on ice. It seems, but of course it could be because of the high quality ginger ale. It fizzes quite a bit. Don't want to fizz it too much because other things will have to go in there. So, alright, so here we are, the ginger ale. Now, still quite a bit left over. That'll go back in the fridge at some point. Now, to ginger ale in a classic Shirley Temple is added a splash of grenadine. Grenadine is a syrup. In this case, this is which brand did I use? It's a Master of Mixes, but it's a syrup that's made from pomegranate and cherry. Sometimes this one actually contains real pomegranate juice, and I've never opened this bottle before, and so it might take some doing. Is there a seal? No, there it is. You have to break the seal just like with the ginger ale. That's very nice. So you just want to put a splash in. So here it is. Put a splash of the grenadine syrup. That's all you need. You don't even really have to mix it at that point because it just blends right away and it turns pink. Also classic for a Shirley Temple is a maraschino cherry. These are the original maraschino cherries, Luxardo from Italy. Much better than the bright red candy things that are all full of all sorts of chemicals. These are much more natural. Get a spoon here, try to get some of the syrup off, because otherwise it's going to be too much. They don't have a, you have to use a spoon, you see, because it's thick syrup, but also the original ones. Also, there's a problem with they don't put stems on, so you just drop that in there, and then it'll go in there. It should sink. There we go. And that goes, sank down. Now it's at the bottom. It's rather dark, unlike the ones you might be used to. They're bright red. So now we have, indeed, an actual Shirley Temple. And that's not quite enough, of course. That would be a very sticky, syrupy drink. That the Miss Temple herself, who became Mrs. Black, Shirley Temple Black, who became a diplomat. She was the United States ambassador to the United Nations as an adult. Because many child actors don't have very good careers as adults. Some have better careers than others, but for the most part they peak when they're young. That's part of the trouble with being popular as an actor or an actress when you're young. But there have been some child actors who have a certain quality, a sort of maturity beyond their years, while still maintaining a certain innocence. Shirley Temple was such a person, although they really couldn't quite transfer into her teen years. Others have. Elizabeth Taylor, for example, had the very same qualities. She did transfer into the teen years, into her adult years, and so did Judy Garland. And Jodie Foster, of course, did very well as an adult starting out, but she also had that way of transcending. More recently, what's her name? She was in, as a child actress, she was in things like The Interview with the Vampire, and as an adult, she was in things like Spider-Man and other movies. I can't remember her name. Kirsten something. You know who I mean. And of course, oh, many people of that sort over the years. Jodie Foster, not Jodie Foster, Linda Blair, who was in The Exorcist, didn't really have that great of a career as an adult, although she's still around. And is still a good actress when she does appear, but she did have that weird dichotomy of being both an innocent child at the same time somehow preternaturally mature for her age. That sort of was why she was selected for this part, because it would be so jarring when she becomes possessed by the demon. So now the innocent virginal Shirley Temple must be possessed by a spirit of evil, a powerful and profound spirit. What spirit could I use to represent the demon? Well, of course, we all know one of the most iconic images is that nasty green puke. So something green, perhaps. Midori, no, that wouldn't work. Something that's definitely diabolic or has diabolic associations. Oh yes, what does the Book of Revelation call one of the terrible demons? Wormwood, the Abaddon, the Apollyon, the Destroyer, and the Wormwood that is unleashed, the star wormwood that comes to Earth, and the end times. Ooh, what a perfect symbol! Of course, Absentia. Of course, Artemisium absinthium, absinthe, and I've chosen one of the most diabolic absinthes I could find, Mansynth, created by Marilyn Manson himself. That's as diabolic as you can get, and it's also the most decadent of all, the most diabolical of all spirits, absinthe. A good Swiss green absinthe, and I'm going to put some of that into this nice shot glass. See here. So I put some of this of the notorious Green Fairy. Well, howdy, Captain. There he is. The Green Fairy is kind of like an innocent thing, sort of like one of the drawings that that Reagan drew. But of course we know Captain Howdy's really a demon. So, we possess the Shirley Temple, the innocent child, with this diabolical spirit. Of course what happens then should be quite spectacular, because we all know what happens when the absinthe hits water of any sort. Let's pour that in, and you should see something odd happening inside, because it loches. I haven't seen any loching happening. That's odd. Maybe if I do a little bit of... There we go. Get to see what happens. You see how it's getting cloudy? Look what's happening up top. Look what's happening up top, floating above the innocent virgin. It's loching. It turns into a sort of cloudy, opalescent white, like the white eyes when she becomes possessed. Sort of strange, weird, supernatural ectoplasm. Look at that stuff. See, it loches. What was green and transparent turns into this opalescent thing. It's rather bizarre, supernatural downright, and creepy. That's why I chose that. So this is the Exorcist cocktail right here. Very good. Now, also a good blend, I hope, because absinthe is notoriously bitter. It usually has to temper it with water and sugar. Well, in this case, it's tempered with ginger ale and grenadine, so it should be particularly tempered, so it won't be too bitter, but it'll be bitter and sweet at the same time, with a little cherry at the bottom because of the virginal princess who was possessed by hell. So here it is. Let's give it a sip. Oh yeah, it's like, reminds me of licorice whips and red vines eaten together. Because indeed, those are exact flavours of both of those things. Absinthe is an anise-based, not anus, anise. Yes, so it should be quite lovely, and it wouldn't cause any nasty after effects. Yeah, nothing bad should happen. Your mother is in here with us, Karis. La plume de ma tante. What an excellent day for an exorcism. Yes, here it is, the Exorcist cocktail. It does taste a bit like eating both the licorice and red vines at the same time. You had both types of the whips, and you're chewing on both simultaneously, which is something a little girl like Reagan McNeil might do, especially if she's possessed. quite good actually. Alright, that's the Exorcist cocktail. Next time, I don't know when it's going to be. It depends on when they announce the next house. I have a terrible feeling it might be The Walking Dead. I'm not trying to spoil anything, but I wouldn't be bloody surprised if that came back again. Again, it's not been officially confirmed, but that I would strongly suspect that's coming back. But the other houses could be anything. Could be anything. I've heard all sorts of crazy rumours. Don't know if they're true or not. It's a chance they're all true. There's a chance none of them are true. Who knows? They can't all be true because I've heard more than there could possibly be a number of houses. At the most, we'll have 9, and not 15. So I don't think all the rumours I've heard are true. You know, everything from Tremors to The Conjuring to Krampus to American Horror Story. Some of which are really unlikely, and some that are much more likely, like The Purge or The Walking Dead. But that doesn't mean they'll actually happen. Doesn't mean that the likely ones will actually happen just because they're likely, and it doesn't mean the unlikely ones won't happen just because they're unlikely, because the world's a weird freaking place. And then of course there's all sorts of original houses, at least 2 or 3, but it all depends on when publicity and marketing and art and design, who work in tandem on the releasing of information to the public, decide to let us know when the next house. Quite possibly not until after Reign of Kong is opened and running at Islands of Adventure, and for people in Hollywood, maybe not until after July 4th, because of the Walking Dead permanent attraction that's going on over there. Maybe next month, which starts day after tomorrow. Oh hell, it's after midnight. It starts tomorrow, or it might be in July. But hopefully, soon, we'll learn what the third announcement for a house will be. And once the house is announced, I can make my third cocktail. So, till then, have fun. I'll probably be back with some more of Halloween Horror Nights history for Halloween Horror Nights 21 before any of that. Ta-ta!